Hi. Because we're reading My Brother Martin, I like to read to you one of my favorite, um, a book that was kind of created by one of my favorite authors and illustrators. His name is Kadir Nelson, and somewhere I think that Kadir Nelson and I are evil twins because we both like the same topics. We both are interested in the same things. And so whenever he writes a book, it's always a book that has a topic that I'm interested in. And so whenever I go to a bookstore and I see that he has a new book out, I get really excited and I immediately buy it right away. Um, Kadir Nelson did not write this book, but he did all of the paintings for it, all of the illustrations for it. And it's one of my favorite topics. I love the I Have a Dream speech by Martin Luther King Jr. and this is only a small portion of the speech. The speech is a lot longer, but this is a small portion. And Kadir Nelson decided to illustrate. He decided to make paintings that would illustrate for kids what the speech is saying. And I just really like this book because it makes it really clear with the illustrations what Dr. King was saying in his speech. One of the things that I love about Kadir Nelson is that as an illustrator, he uses very dramatic angles and very dramatic layouts in his books. So he might have an entire, the book might be open all the way, and he might do an illustration that takes up the whole book with no writing. And then the next page he'll have a little small illustration. So he really goes for the drama in his paintings. And he really also kind of hits the human element that like kind of makes your heart hurt, or that's sort of sentimental. And I love his style of painting, and I love I don't know, we would be BFFs if we ever met. I need to write Kadir Nelson a letter and just say, "Dear Kadir, I just love you. I love everything about you. I love your paintings. I love the books that you write." So, anyhow, I wanted to share with you enough gushing about Kadir. I have all of his books, and they all are based on, a lot of his books are based on history. One of my favorite books of his is a book that's all about the Negro Leagues in baseball. Baseball was segregated. Baseball had anybody could play baseball in the late 1800s, and then baseball became segregated in the early 1900s. And so there were black teams and there were white teams. And the black teams were called the Negro Leagues. And the players in the Negro Leagues were awesome players. They were super fantastic players. And so he wrote a book called We Are the Ship that was all about the Negro Leagues. And although I don't really watch baseball, I don't play baseball. I've played baseball, but I don't play it now. Baseball is a really interesting topic to learn about the history of baseball because it's the history of our country. It's sort of our national sport that we play. And so learning about the history of baseball is one of my favorite topics. All my little nephews are like, "You like baseball a lot." And you know all about baseball. I'm like, "Yes, I do." So, when all of my nephews, when they got old enough to read, I would always give them books about the Negro Leagues, and because they liked playing. A lot of my nephews played baseball. So this book is Kadir wrote a book about the Negro Leagues. He's also written books about a wide assortment of other topics too. So this is his book that he wrote, that upside down, that is about the I Have a Dream speech by Martin Luther King Jr. And so I thought I would share this with you. Again, super dramatic cover, right? Big, nice painting on the cover. Lovely. This also, inside this book, has an official recording of the I Have a Dream speech. And I am going to put a link. I won't play you this, but I will put a link to the speech on YouTube so that you can watch it and you can hear him giving the speech. So here is the Lincoln Memorial, which I have been there, and the amount of people that it would take to fill that area is just huge. And inside this memorial is a giant statue inside this building right here. Oops, right here. Sorry, can't tell left from right in the camera. Inside this building is a giant statue of Abraham Lincoln, and the Lincoln Memorial is often used as a site when people want to make a dramatic speech. This is one of the most famous occasions when the Lincoln Memorial was used. It was also used, there was a very famous woman who was African American that was supposed to sing at a concert, and she was denied because she was black. They would not let her sing at the concert. And so people decided, okay, fine, we're not going to sing at that concert hall that's segregated. She sang on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial to make a statement. And that, I think, is like the second most important time when the memorial's been used to make a statement. And the reason why is because Abraham Lincoln was president and when slavery was abolished, during the Emancipation Proclamation and the Civil War. So the Lincoln Memorial is kind of a powerful place with great meaning for our country, and so it's been used as the location for a lot of famous events and speeches. So here is the Lincoln Memorial right behind him. I say to you today, my friends, that even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. There's a picture of the memorial, all of the people that are standing and listening to the speech. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. So that says that in the Constitution of our country, that we believe that all men are created equal. Awesomely powerful, like both men are looking at each other, right? And big illustration that takes up both pages. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. Here's a great one next. Awesome picture, huh? Like awesome painting. Super powerful. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. Awesome, huh? One little sentence. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today. This kind of connects to the event that happened to him in his childhood, remember, where he wasn't allowed to play with his friends and it really hurt his feelings, right? So he's actually, as an adult, he's remembering back to how bad he felt when he was a child, and he's saying, hey, I have a dream that kids can all play together, that we're not going to separate kids based on the color of their skin. I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted, and every hill and mountain shall be made low. The rough places will be made plain, and the crooked places will be made straight, and the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. So he was a preacher right? In his life, he was originally a pastor, and so he's speaking from the Bible in this instance. And he's saying, hey, I have a dream that things are going to change. Mountains will be made low, rough places will be made plain, right? There are going to be huge changes in our country. I have a dream that those changes will happen. This is our hope. This is the faith that I go back to the South with. With this faith, we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. With this faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. It's kind of an interesting view looking at him from behind when he's giving the speech. With this faith, we will be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we will be free one day. Bam! Right in the middle. Awesome image right in the middle of the book. Good job, Kadir. This will be the day when all of God's children will be able to sing with new meaning. My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride, from every mountainside let freedom ring. And if America is to be a great nation, this must become true. I like how he uses kids for that one. So let freedom ring from the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire. Let freedom ring from the mighty mountains of New York. Let freedom ring from the heightening Alleghanies of Pennsylvania. Let freedom ring from the snow-capped Rockies of Colorado. So this is showing all of those landscapes. New Hampshire, New York, Alleghanies, Pennsylvania, right? Rockies of Colorado. Let freedom ring from the curvaceous slopes of California. That's right. Woohoo! We got a mention, a shout out. But not only that. So he's saying he's knowing that there's also discrimination in California, right? He knows that Mexican Americans in California are facing discrimination too. So that's part of why we're getting the shout out. Let freedom ring from the curvaceous slopes of California. But not only that, let freedom ring from Stone Mountain of Georgia. Let freedom ring from Lookout Mountain of Tennessee. Let freedom ring from every hill and molehill of Mississippi. So he's kind of calling out some of the states that had the worst segregation and discrimination, right? Mississippi, Tennessee, Georgia. There's California with the palm trees, because we had our fair share of discrimination. From every mountainside, let freedom ring. Super dramatic. And when this happens, when we allow freedom to ring, when we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual. These are people listening to him speak. Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last. All right. And the entire speech is a lot longer. This is the length of the of the speech that he gave. So the entire speech is in the afterword of the book. He basically just hit some of the highlights of the speech that we're all familiar with. The speech was a little bit longer than that. So I just wanted to share that with you because A, I think it's an awesome speech. B, I think Martin Luther King was an amazing human being. And C, I love Kadir Nelson. I just love his work. And whenever he illustrates a book or whenever he writes a book and illustrates it, that's a double bonus. You'll see, I'm going to read many other Kadir Nelson books to you during the year. You'll say, wow, she really did love Kadir Nelson. Enough already. But you might like his books as much as I do. He always writes about really interesting topics. So, anyhow, I hope listening to that little portion of the speech kind of gave you an idea of what the speech relates to. And I will also post a link to the speech so that you can listen to it on YouTube and you can see the crowds of people and see what a powerful event it is. Listening to his voice, it just gives you chills. He's one of those people that, and this is why I think it is one of the most powerful speeches in all of history, definitely in U.S. history, but also in all of history, is it just gives you chills. It gives you goosebumps listening to him give the speech. It has so much heartfelt feeling in it. And also, I think it's also listening to him give the speech, listening to his voice, listening to his feeling, the feeling that he puts into the speech. It would have been pretty remarkable to be there and to hear it in person. Just really quickly, Martin Luther King was married to a woman, remember we read about that in the earlier story, named Coretta Scott King. And Coretta Scott King was also a super strong, powerful woman. I mean, remember back when they threw a bomb in her house, in their house, the King house. She was a super strong, powerful crusader for civil rights her own self. And when I was in college, I was able to go to a speech that she gave. And the speech probably had about, I want to say about 200 people, 150 or 200 people were listening to the speech. Maybe about 100 people. It was less than our school if we had an assembly. And she was one of the most amazing speakers I've ever heard. I can't even imagine listening to him speak because she was such a powerful speaker too. And she also gave speeches for civil rights. When I was listening to her speak, she was looking me in the eye. I think she looked everybody in the eye, but I felt like she was speaking just to me. I have never heard somebody speak in person that powerfully. I had goosebumps. The hair on the back of my neck was standing on end. She was an incredible speaker. So I think they just had that. They had the ability to, she and her husband were just amazing speakers. And maybe they practiced their speeches together. I don't know. But both of them were just incredible, amazing people. And I remember Coretta Scott King died several years ago. And she was able to, they had a big funeral for her that was on TV. And there were thousands of people who had heard her speak and had been impressed with her and had attended her funeral. And I'll be honest with you, if I lived in Washington, D.C., if I had lived closer, I would have gone to her funeral as well because the speech that she gave that I heard in person was incredible. And her speech was about the same subject, the fight for rights and the need that people have to treat each other fairly and justly. So it was an amazing speech. Anyhow, I hope that you enjoyed that book, and I hope that you enjoy learning about Martin Luther King Jr. What a superhuman being he was. And I'll talk to you later.